Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of 365 Days of Gaming. I appreciate you taking out time to check out this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Thanks in advance. So what are we talking about today? Well, we're going back to the Capcom well, and we're going to start talking about Resident Evil games. So I wanted to start with one that has recently grown quickly to be one of my favorite Resident Evil games, and this is the Resident Evil 3 Remake. That's right, the remake. There's a few reasons why this game is becoming one of my favorite in the series. The original Resident Evil 3, right? Not necessarily the most lauded or talked about in the series for a multitude of reasons. First and foremost, obviously, Code Veronica should have been Resident Evil 3, but we can move past that, right? We've grown, we've matured. But you know, the game introduced Nemesis, which was a big component, right? Nemesis was a very memorable character. Has been in a lot of things as a result. And so that already is a good thing. But I also played this game for our YouTube channel, me and Battleship Boyd, a couple of years when it first came out, so a couple of years ago. And I really enjoyed going through that. You know, that made the experience way more memorable for me. And we played it on hard, which I normally don't do with Resident Evil games. So, you know, we gutted it out. We made it through. We survived. So the footage you see me playing is me using a lot of things that you don't have in the beginning, because I was not trying to do this the hard way just to show you footage of the game. All right, I put in my time. I paid my dues. But the other thing is, like, I don't know, the game just felt really, really good control wise. You know, it had all the benefits of the Resident Evil 2 remake. I'm gonna lie to you, this one's less scary. Even though Nemesis is chasing you around, he's not roaming the halls like Mr. X was, because I'll tell you right now, Resident Evil 2 remake, I am afraid of that game still. The same way I'm still afraid of the GameCube remake for Resident Evil. Like, there's just something about it. This game still has its scary moments, or their unsettling moments. The entire pyro plant area where you have to restore the power and you got those bug things going around and trying to lay eggs in your throat and all that stuff, like that time is always very unsettling for me. Every time I've gone through this, and I've beaten this game probably 7-8 times at this point, trying to get all the unlockables and stuff like that. Yeah, anytime I get to that point, even though it's kind of early in the game, I am always uncomfortable the entire time I'm walking through trying to disable all this stuff. Like, even when I go through without taking damage, I'm always still just a little bit uncomfortable, and I always seem to get caught. You know, I never can do like a no damage perfect run through this area. I'm always getting caught by something at the last second, or I'm getting attacked on my way out. Just always something goes on with this area. So that's one of the things. The other thing is, like, the Nemesis battles aren't necessarily as tough as they used to be because of the better motion and because you can dodge and things like that. Makes it a lot easier, which, you know, makes it more fun sometimes. Sometimes it's not always about being hard. It's about, you know, just enjoying the gameplay. And this one I definitely enjoyed a little more than 2 because of the ability to dodge and things like that. It helps change the gameplay in a good way, from not being clear. But also it's still tough. Like, the game isn't just automatically just a walkthrough. You know, you're gonna have to learn where things are. You're gonna have to, you know, figure out puzzles. And of course, you know, the more you play it, the easier it is. But I just felt like this game captured what should have been good about the original release of 3 and made it that much better. And maybe we just weren't ready for it, but I really think, you know, out of the remakes, like, 2 is still one of my favorite games. Even the original version of 2, I still think is good, even with the tank controls and everything. The remake is fantastic, but 3 took a game that was, to me, below average in the Resident Evil series and put it up, you know, considerably. And I enjoy the story of Jill coming back from the mansion, and, you know, now that the gameplay kind of matches the story and the visuals and everything, it can tell the story in a much better way. I really enjoyed the Carlos amount of time you get to play with Carlos in the hospital and things like that. I thought was a great addition to it. He's, you know, you get to see more of him and you get to see more of his character and you get to play with him. And I thought that was a really good touch to the game. I'm always happy when you get to switch characters, but I thought his part of the game was a lot more impactful than the original version. I don't know what that means for the character long term, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. And I don't know, there's something about this game that just makes you want to play over every time I start playing it. I'm like, I gotta finish it. And it's not a super long game. I think the fastest I've beaten it is like 2.5 hours, maybe 3. I'm not sure what the record is. I don't think I'm close to it at all, but you know, the boss fights are great. All the versions of Nemesis that you got to deal with is always fun. The different enemy types that you go through, that you see, like when you go into the sewers or when you get into the laboratories. I don't want to say too much if you haven't played it, because I really want you to play it if you haven't. All the times that Nemesis shows up and his variations and things like that, I always think it's cool. And a lot of times if you beat him and you down him, because you know he always gonna come back for more, you can you get different items from them. You get these little supply cases that'll give you, whether it's an attachment or extra ammo, because without, you know, using some of the bonuses that you get, ammo is not plentiful. You know, there's a finite amount of it, and you got to make sure you use it wisely. So I always think that's cool to give you bonuses for downing him, which is not an easy task. You know, unless you have already beaten the game, sometimes it may not even be worth it to fight him. If you can, sometimes it's better to run. And I really think that this game did a great job of that. I felt like in the original one, it was like, I don't know, he wasn't as impactful as going and dealing with Mr. X the first time. But I felt like on this one, you know, it's the right change of pace. It's not so much as scary, but it's more action oriented. And for a game that's not long, you know, at least it could be filled with action from start to finish. And I think that's what the remake did a great job of. If you have played the original version and have not played the remake, highly recommend it. If you've never played any of the Resident Evils, you are in for a treat, unless you're scared, and then that way I probably tell you not to play it. But it's a really fun game, a really well designed game. This is one of the things that makes me have hope for the franchise. You know, even before 8, I just felt like they were trending very upward with the release of the second remake and then this version. So really like this game, really enjoy it. Probably gonna play it through it again just because I started playing it for this video and felt like I kind of fell back in love with it one more time. And you know, Nemesis is still cheap, but now I got items and things to deal with them, so it's not as bad. It's not as bad as it was originally. But all the set pieces are really cool visually. I mean, it's fantastic. You know, this is right before next gen, so you get some of the best of the best. And the only thing that I say was really funny is I was playing this on just a standard PS4. And this game is definitely pushing those PS4s to its limit, because it gets turned into a jet engine almost immediately. Like, as soon as you boot it up, you can hear those fans starting to turn, because it's pushing the limits of those systems. But if you could play it on like a next gen console, you'll definitely not have to worry about too much of that, or play the PC version if you got access to it. They usually put this on sale. I mean, I've seen this game as low as $5 on some of those sales, so it's not the most expensive game. If you have access to any of those platforms, I definitely say, you know, put the money in, even if it's like $10 or $20 or whatever it may be, or rent it if that's possible for you. But I highly recommend this game. This is one of the games that brought back the feeling, in my opinion. So I'd like to hear your stories if you did beat this game. If not, then you got some work to do. I'm waiting to hear what happens when you finish it, what your thoughts are. But as always, appreciate you taking out time to check out the video. Have fun, be safe. Peace.